tendencias de la integración de la cadena de suministro en la región para los próximos años. Para esta charla contaremos con la participación de un distinguido panel de expertos. Alexander Firsching y Robert Hotter nos vuelven a acompañar, presidente y vicepresidente de compras de la empresa Robert Bosch, respectivamente. Diego Alemán, director de Estrategia Corporativa y Sostenibilidad de Grupo Bocar, y Emanuel Soto, Head of Materials Management de ZF Group. Además, contaremos con la moderación para este panel de Francisco González, presidente ejecutivo de la Industria Nacional de Autopartes. Es importante mencionar que el siguiente diálogo se llevará a cabo en idioma inglés. Un fuerte aplauso para nuestro panel de expertos, por favor.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's really an honor to stand before you today and present the panel Strategic Vision, Automotive Supply Chain Integration in North America 2024-2030 and Supply Alliances. Today, we have a talented group of experts who will be sharing their insights, experiences, expertise on the important issues. I start with Alexander Firsching, you already heard him, President of Robert Bosch Mexico. Robert Huta, Vice President Purchasing of Robert Bosch Mexico. Diego Alemán, Director of Corporate Strategy and Sustainability of Bocar Group. And Emanuel Soto, Head of Materials Management of ZF. I'm confident that our panelists will provide valuable, thought-provoking perspectives that will ignite a stimulating conversation. Before we begin, let me offer you a brief overview of North America in the automotive sector. This region is globally recognized for its prominent presence in the automotive industry with a network of companies, of professionals driving innovation, efficiency, and competitiveness as a very important step of the supply chain. Despite the challenges of recent years, today the automotive industry has become stronger and it's constantly growing. Thanks to NAFTA and now the USMCA, Mexico, Canada, and the United States have collaborated to become one of the most vital economic regions globally, and our country has emerged to become a strategic link and partner within this integration. However, the pandemic taught us a new lesson about commerce. Trade should no longer be viewed simply in terms of exports versus imports, but rather in terms of trust and common value added and production. The interconnected value chains in North America demonstrate our reliance on one another rather than functioning as independent economies. We work together as cooperative manufacturers, creating products collaboratively. Our achievements hinge on the strength of our partnerships and our ability to work together effectively. It's estimated that cars built in North America have their parts crossing borders about 8 times during production. Between 80% and 90% of US auto industry trade with North American partners is intra-industry, highlighting our high level of integration in global value chains. To thrive in the global value chain paradigm, we must work together to adapt the profound transformations in our industry. Mexico possesses the human capital, the infrastructure, and experience necessary to drive innovation and technology for North American companies. Today, we can forge partnerships that promote innovation as the key driver of our region's growth. It is no surprise that Mexico and the United States have become each other's top trading partners with a significant exchange in the automotive sector. Some numbers. 87%, yes, 87% of Mexican exports in the auto part industry are destined to the United States, which is a clear indicator of trust that has been built in the quality and reliability of Mexican components. Similarly, Canada follows with 3.1 of exports, confirming that the horizons of the industry continue to expand. In this context of constant growth and evolution, it is essential that we closely analyze the strategic vision for the integration of the automotive supply chain in the coming years. Supplier alliances play a crucial role in this scenario, as they allow to strengthen collaboration and efficiency through the value chain. Now, I want to start with you, Alexander. You already explained to us how Bosch is in Mexico, how it's expanding, but I think that something very interesting is to the view that you were explaining me when we were sitting, the complication of the EV market, the next steps. I know that you can't foresee the future, but you can plan to work together. You already, in one of your slides, showed the two worlds possible. How do you see the next steps in both worlds?
Yeah, that's, Francisco, great question, because last 6 months were kind of setback for electrification, because all the enthusiasts like Francisco and me, we already have been buying electric cars, but maybe we have a second car. But now to go into more deeper penetration of electrification, we need more cheap electric cars, we need a better infrastructure, and we need an attractive solution in total if you only have one car. And we saw announcements that Tesla is reducing their staff worldwide, and Tesla is the front leader. But also other makers are stepping a bit back, and that of course gives us to think the future is not digital. So our scenario to have both things balanced is pretty important, and it's also a big chance for our supplier industry because we have more time for the transformation.
Thank you, Alexander. I think this is very clear. I will be jumping among everybody so we can have Emanuel. I would ask you, what are the perspectives of ZF in the next years, let's say 2024, for the next 5 years, so we leave political issues aside, but 5 years is an interesting period. What policies would be needed? What plans does ZF has in Mexico? Well, how do you see the supply chain mainly for ZF in Mexico?
Okay, yes, definitely CF expanding significantly in Mexico. I would like to expand a little bit, but I'm glad to share this stage with Bosch. So great company, and also CF is part of pursuing the perfection of Bosch. So thank you. We are expanding in Mexico with our R&D center, and we are betting on the new technology. And following the USMCA directions, we are accomplishing a team of developer engineers in the region that can support the electric vehicle and the autonomous drive transformation that is coming forward. Along with that, yes, we're also pursuing the supply base that is being demanded from the USMCA. As we were seeing from the previous presentation from Alex, is that 75% of the product has to come here. So definitely that will continue to have CF and every single tier one motivate all the other tier twos in the region to be able to provide certain products into the market. So CF definitely is going to be expanding with the R&D. We're also expanding our operations in Querétaro to double our capacity, and we're expanding one of our largest inverter plants in Juárez to make sure we can support the transformation into electric cars. As being said, also electromobility is slowing a little bit down, so CF is also vetting on being able to come back and forth between the market demands. If it is needed to be combustion engines, be able to supply a standard transmission. If it is needed to be electrified, be able to provide electric drives. So overall, we foresee a significant growth in the region for every single supplier and every single company that will be betting on the future for the transformation of mobility.
Thank you very much, Manuel. Very good insights. I will ask you, Robert, about one of your last slides where you mentioned which segments products will be needed. Excellent. What do you see that the tiers corresponding to your suppliers should need to develop to be really a Bosch supplier in these last 5 products that you mentioned in your slide?
Yes, I think I need to answer this threefold. We have, like I said, classical business. In this business field of, let's say, fuel injection technologies, braking systems, We are having a mature supply base, and we will be in the market for a long time. So with these suppliers, we need a close collaboration and a clear perspective of the future. Then the electromobility is already kicking in on classical material fields like alu die castings, like stampings, where we see more demand for a little bit of a expanded technology range. And with these suppliers, we need to really develop into these current products. This is actual marketplace for Bosch. We are making power electronics. We will have generators for BEV vehicles. A lot of things are coming up where we have a clear expectation and a technology view. And the third group of suppliers will be the brand new products. When we go into fuel cell or electrolyzer, then we will have to go into different type of machines for stampings or castings. We will have different tolerances. We will have new materials. And here the scouting is very important for us to find new suppliers. So it's a very broad field where we have to act strategically in order to keep existing suppliers motivated and with high volumes, and maybe bundling even more with getting into the new technology area, and to find absolutely new areas and new materials and new suppliers where we don't even know yet where they are right now.
Mm-hmm. We have heard so many things about the challenges of a Mexican company, Diego, for the next steps in electromobility, in which types of lines of production you have to change, how to align with companies like Bosch, because you are a supplier of Bosch or ZF. How do you align your developments, your research with companies of a world size? I remember you that Bocar is one of the largest Mexican companies, supplier based for the main and the huge companies like Bosch and ZF. How does this work? How could you explain us this alignment to these developments?
Sure.
And your strategy.
Well, thank you very much. I'm honored to be seated with Bosch and ZF. I'm in the middle, maybe strategically. But answering the question, so basically for us, the world is flexibilization in many ways. Flexibilization in many ways. So I think we need to understand that, as you mentioned, Bosch, before, no science will fit all. And there will be different technologies in the market, and we need to be flexible to be able to cope with them. And we need to have cooperation among the supply base to really find the right solutions. In my opinion, for every one of us that it's in this business, truth be told, we are very dependent on importing many topics. So integrating the supply chain in Mexico is very, very relevant. And the only way to do that is to cooperation, and to cope with electromobility is also flexibilization.
Thank you, Diego. As a note, I think it's very important that the name of the panel is the Strategic Vision for North America. And of course, there are simply different orientations. In Mexico, we have also a motorcycle, very important market. Bosch is #1 leader worldwide. You were in Asia and you see Bosch batteries in all the motorcycles and bicycles and so on. What's happening in Mexico? What's happening in general, and this will be a question for all four of you, in the development of the generations EVs? Yes, with actual batteries. BMW just announced us that on Friday there was the cornerstone in San Luis Potosí. But what are you thinking about the next steps? What's happening in the market? Why is it slowing down? Why is it moving forward? It's bicycles, it's cars, it's motorcycles, and heavy duty, as mentioned, the fuel cells that you announced that you will be producing. In general, how do you see the strategy of Bosch with your customers and with suppliers? Please.
Yeah, also referring to BMW and to other big OEMs, they say the future is not one fits all. And we are open to all technologies. And I think the battery electric vehicles will have a specific market application in city, but not for long-haul travel. But in long-haul travel, you will have different solutions. In truck business, you will have different solutions. And motorbikes still, when we see Mexican market with very small motorcycles, they are very competitive as combustion engine. But then the alternative is to take an e-bike. But if an e-bike is more expensive than a combustion motorcycle, you don't have a market in Mexico. So you have to always think in price, technology, and requirement. And at the end, a combination of all will survive.
Okay, I'd like to add to this what you said, Alexander, from the procurement point of view. The electromobility, for me, it's not so important what are the numbers in the end of the day, if they are high or low. Fact is that we need to provide products, and we want to provide products. So what's coming up now is very volatile volumes, but at the same time a huge pressure for safe launch SOPs of the new products in electromobility. And this for us means we are talking about alu die castings, which are double, 3 times the size we had before, because we want to equip an e-axle or a power electronic module in a car. We see a very tight market for e-steel. The e-steel is the material for the laminations. The laminations are the core elements of an electric motor. So this needs to be secured on the purchasing side. And in the end of the day, if the volume is 500,000 or 1.8 million, it doesn't matter. If you have not secured the volumes, you are too late in the marketplace, you lose against your competition.
Yes, adding to that, electromobility, yes, you're right. Definitely, I guess all the companies were betting to be more flexible in the products we can offer on the market, right? So yes, there is a certain need for combustion bikes here in Mexico, but it's also good to look at the future and probably look on the transportation like Mexico City, like Guadalajara, that they're already implementing a sustainable way of transportation that can be supported with this kind of transportation, electric bikes. So CF is also part of that, and commenting like Robert said, yeah, that definitely there is a specific niche for high pressure die casting for medium and large tonnage. As we were mentioning, we're looking at the transformation for electric drives. And the electric drives are not anymore cooled by water. They are cooled by some sort of hydraulic fluid, let's call it that way. And they're not cooling engines, they are cooling semiconductors inside this unit. So that is a very niche specific. So when your die casting is a part like this, you need to maximize that there's no particles left behind that can cause electric shortage in the motherboard of this electric unit. So that is being specific for us as being as providers for the automotive, to be certain to identify who are the right suppliers that can provide those kind of products in the vertical integration for the reliable new way of propulsions of the cars. And again, going back to simple electric bikes, it's going to be a small motherboard that is going to be inverting AC unit into DC unit into AC unit, and any small shape of aluminum can cause a major failure on your bike. So this will give the opportunity to Bocar to expand that opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you, Emanuel. So definitely, as I mentioned before, and our panelists have mentioned, integration it's really important. And when it comes to that field, we see a lot of opportunities that can come into Mexico. So today, Mexico is the among the 6 largest aluminum die casting markets in the world, together with US, Japan, China, India, and Europe. And of course, there is a lot of influx of new companies coming into Mexico. But there's still a lot of opportunities. If you want to get certain, I think raw materials is an opportunity. Molds specifically, it's an opportunity. Surface treatment. So there is a lot of things we can do in Mexico to be more competitive and to be to the up to the challenges and up to the demand of our customers. I mean, we all here also share the same customers. And we know, as Robert was mentioning, it will become stricter. Regulations will become stricter, and the approach to sustainability and digitization will be also key and fundamental for all of us and the supply chain to be successful in this transition. Everyone is trying to find their way, their solution, and of course that comes with the stress, that comes with alliances, cooperations to mitigate some risks and also find some new opportunities. And I think that will be key for the future of the industry and also for the region.
Thank you all. I have a question about nearshoring. How do you see this phenomenon that's working, not working? What do you foresee? What do you expect from the nearshoring? How does this relate to Bosch? Is Bosch inviting more suppliers? Robert already mentioned something. Are you expanding also your capacities? What's happening in general? We had a meeting a few weeks ago in Berlin with a top of the CEOs of the industry, and they were very excited about nearshoring. This is the good news. This is the first part of the question. The second one is, what do you need to be changed to have really an ambiente that facilitates you to do more business?
Yeah, that fits very well our press conference. I had 100,000 questions to nearshoring, and I simply said we are doing nearshoring since 10 years. So we're now having 13 plants, and we are investing, es mejor decirlo en español, 25,000 millones de pesos en los últimos 2 años. So we are nearshoring, that's very clear, but it could do better, especially when we see, like Robert mentions, there's an Inflation Reduction Act in Estados Unidos, so they are giving a lot more subsidies. And I think also the Mexican government could be a little bit more active in this and enable infrastructure, provision of energy, especially here in Querétaro, and first and foremost to have qualified people. And that we are very positive that we have 100,000 graduates from Mexican university, but that of course is very important for the future.
I was talking about that we have over 800 suppliers serving us for the region. Of course, we need more localization. That's an intrinsic motivation on our side. If I look back, I have to say nearshoring, onshoring has been in our supply strategy for a long time. We have very good partners, international-based companies who are producing in Mexico for us. Not everything is easy, but they have been able to scale up the volumes also for us, and we had good experience with them before in other areas of the world. Now, looking ahead, we know that our supply base is not sufficient. We need more suppliers, and the competition for the suppliers is quite fierce. I mean, once you find a good supplier, you can expect your competitors to show up, you can expect ZF to show up, and you will meet those guys at the entrance of the suppliers. So in the end, we all are looking for the same thing, and we need more partners. I would say stable, financially sound partners who are producing with us in Mexico. And for that, I like the onshoring, because it takes away the logistic costs and the long value chains on the ships, in the planes. It shortens the quality cycles and all of this. So it's heavily needed on our side, the onshoring.
Just to put some numbers on what we have been talking, the relationship between Asia Pacific and US market is 500 billion sales $500 billion in sales. And we need to nearshore all that. Last year, there was reporting 473. So there is a slight reduction from 500 to 473, quite small. So we have a long task, and the opportunity is quite huge for the nearshoring to implement the suppliers and to actually expedite the implementation. So as well as in the market, we are looking for 4 basic fundamentals in our suppliers, which are sustainable, which are reliable, local, and digital, because as we have been mentioned, if you are not digital in this market, you are disconnected from what is happening every single second and minute. You should be able to react in the next 5 minutes, to be honest. There's operating machines in some of our CF plants that can transmit directly to our suppliers the fluctuations on demand in batches of every 5 minutes, so they can understand what will be their next delivery to be able to accommodate what will be the next shipment. So being digital, being reliable, and being flexible is what will assure that, yes, Tier 1 will approach you as one of the key suppliers. And to be true, it is right. There is a problem of capacity availability right now. Once we find one good supplier, yeah, we're all going through that supplier, and 1 week later, there are 200 oversell or capacities already overput up there. So definitely, I think one opportunity that we have here for local governments is actually to put up a very strategic and easy plan of the soft landing and the partnership and the marriage of, let's say, existing companies. Let's not talk about anymore of micro companies. PYMEs, not anymore. We need to have those PYMEs to have a mindset to adopt the culture, because our culture, you speak Spanish, you know the land. You have to facilitate all that foreign investment coming here, be able to be a CF supplier, a Bosch supplier, a Conti supplier.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel. So I would like to expand on your comment on talent, honestly. I mean, at Bocar, we firmly believe in the opportunities of the region. 2 years ago, we expanded our first operation in the US. Last year, we expanded our operation in San Luis Potosí. But I think talent really comes to the very hot topic we all need to work. I think every actor, everyone that is here also has a role to play in that. For the ones that we develop, we have to upskill our people when it comes to digitization and some other micro credentials we need to give to our people to provide so they are successful in this new world, in this new transition from the education institutions and cooperation with the private sector also to find a ways. I think the industry sometimes is going at a faster speed than the curriculum sometimes. So we need to work together to make sure that people in Mexico and in the region have the chances to succeed in this new market. And I think that will bring us to a very bright future also in Mexico. I think we all play a role, and it's an important thing that we need to cover.
Thank you, Diego. I have one last question for all 4 of you, and I will start. This will be 1 minute answer, please. And the question follows as: imagine that we are in January 2026. The renegotiations, validation, or revision of the USMCA is in play. The INA, Industria Nacional de Autopartes, will be at the negotiating table. What would you ask 1 or 2 things that you need or you want to preserve or you want to change? What would be this special thing that you will ask and say, you need to put this as part of the USMCA? It could be also move nothing.
Yeah, with negotiations, that's always a point that they are very general, but the automotive market is very differentiated. So I would like that you bring a bit the point. There are certain areas like semiconductors or special areas which are not so easy to localize, and that this should be somehow considered.
Yeah. From my side, if I would have a wish, is that the raw material topics are incorporated in the rules, since the North American market is so tight and restricted on raw material. We need ways of qualifying for USMCA even without a raw material from outside of the region. I cannot see a solution to that in the next couple of years, and that should be avoided, that only because we need some specific alloy from somewhere in the world, we have to pay penalties here in the region on our products.
Okay.
Well, I think a realistic roadmap where the regulations meet the realities and we can all meet and accomplish them. I think there's sometimes a discrepancy on what is asked for and our companies can do for it. And sometimes there are roadblocks that we can, move to really cope with these new regulations, which we all want to comply, but sometimes we struggle to do so. I think it's a realistic roadmap and the match between reality and regulations.
Thank you.
So, yes, I will add two things. I totally agree with raw materials, that we will have an extension on allowance to convert into local materials or keep importing if necessary. And the second and most important, probably most people is forgetting about, we have 40 crossing points into the US, which are not they're not automated. They are stocking our product in the borders. So if they're gonna come on next negotiation through USMCA's is to go for digitalization and go for optimal ways of transportation between US and Mexico. To ship a product from San Luis Potosí, from Querétaro to Juárez to San Luis Potosí will take around 8 hours. To cross from Juárez to El Paso will take 8 hours, which is only 20 minutes, impossible. So border crossing optimization should be something that must be the agenda. And also, we also to have our seaport transportation to have agreements between Manzanillo and LAX and between Veracruz port and Houston to allow us to ship those products not only inland, also by sea. We have adapting some way of transportation, but unfortunately, we keep betting on using our roads. No, we have other ways of transportation. Let's use it, if possible, on the next negotiation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the four of you. It has been really amazing. I learned a lot from your points of view. I take some notes for the negotiations also, and for the future that's not foreseeable, but it's doable, what we can start knowing and learning today for the future. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you for being here.